What is up, everybody? Now, I'm just here to talk about elemental overload and elemental equilibrium. Because we have a full version of the all of part 3, but for me, I just really want to try and at least voice out my opinion about this. I mean, don't worry. I mean, this is just my personal opinion, and I'm not saying that this is absolutely wrong and that changes must be done. I'm not going to be that type of guy that's going to be like a crybot, but I am just a little bit I don't know, I guess you might say having mixed emotions about the change of the skill, or about both keystones. More so with elemental overload than elemental equilibrium. Now, to go into detail, the elemental overload keystone will now apply on the skills that crit instead of just applying the 40% more damage overall. So what that means is that you cannot use Orb of Storms anymore with increased critical strikes to have a chance to proc elemental overload, and then, for example, if you're using a Scorching Ray, the Scorching Ray itself will not have the benefit of elemental overload with it. Now, whether or not this is going to be okay, I guess the full patch notes will tell. But for example, like if you're gonna use a different skill, like for example, a non-crit ball lightning or crackling lance or arc with supercharge, elemental overload will definitely be like a good choice for that, right? Because you will have to use controlled destruction, and then you have supercharge, which will make your non-crits lucky, so that's going to be a higher base damage overall. And then you're going to rely on a different skill, like maybe Armageddon Brand or Wintertide Brand, anything else that may have a good and stable crit chance against enemies for elemental overload to proc. Now, and what usually happens anyway is that builds that typically have elemental overload, like for example a Flame Blast build. A Flame Blast build will benefit greatly from elemental overload, yes, but it has been proven, at least to some extent, that I mean, if you are gonna have a very high crit chance on an elemental skill anyway, it will be more beneficial to just scale your critical multi on the skill itself instead of just going for increased fire damage here, increased burning damage there, and then just going for increased crit strike chance. It's usually just better overall to increase the crit multi, because the crit multi will also apply the damage of an ailment like Ignite, for example. So I don't know, for me it seems pretty weird. I mean, that's basically it. With elemental equilibrium, it's actually a really nice change. Instead of increasing the elemental resistance to the enemy that you have dealt damage with, like for example, if you use Orb of Storms with elemental equilibrium, you don't give them increased lightning res. You just give them exposure now to cold and fire, while having no changes to their lightning resistance at all. So that's pretty nice, right? Very enjoyable. But on the other hand, though, they have moved it to the Ranger side, is what they've said here. They moved the elemental equilibrium keystone passive to the Ranger section of the passive tree. And of course I understand that, because like with their example with Wild Strike, it will benefit the Ranger greatly because it's just so close. But I hope it won't be like on the real long end, like where Point Blank is, or where acrobatics will be. And I hope it's not that far into the Ranger section. I mean, at least maybe a little closer to the Scion, please. That's it. I mean, those were just my thoughts. So yeah, I'm actually thinking that my non-crit Crackling Lance Inquisitor will now not be non-crit anymore. And I don't know, I guess that basically negates the one true thing that Supercharge could help you out with, because there's no like proper way of scaling it, or like scaling your lightning damage even more. I don't know, lightning damage is at a weird state now at this point for me, I guess. So yeah, I mean, that was just it, just a short video sharing my 2 cents. Share it around if you think that you can gather more people that think the same. You know, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. But yeah, that's basically it. So I guess we'll have to wait for the full patch notes, and yeah, I shall be seeing you guys in the next video then, eh?